the coverage of NASA's SLS launch, NASA's first return to the moon in 50 years. And I'm joined by some very bleary-eyed space oddities. Good morning, guys. How are we?
What day is it?
Good morning.
Middle of the
Lovely,
night.
thank you.
Morning.
Number
Middle of the
two.
night.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah. So the situation with the SLS at the moment is that they are basically in a hold. They've had a few problems during the night with some leaky hydrogen valves, and they've now got a problem with the range, that they've got a faulty Ethernet switch, which is part of the flight termination system. The latest from NASA is that they will not make the opening of the launch window, which was scheduled for 4 minutes past 6 British time. And we're just waiting to see what happens. So, guys, any thoughts about this morning? How you feel? You're feeling excited?
Very excited.
As we can be, considering the time of day.
Oh, this is wonderful. It's the start of the Artemis generation.
Yes, that's true.
Finally.
Right? It's a whole new group of astronomy enthusiasts, space exploration aficionados, ready to start exploring the solar system again with people.
Yes, indeed. And let's now have a look at what's happening over at the Cape with SLS. So we can see there the SLS on the launch pad. I will keep the volume off for now so that we can talk. But as you can see at the top left of the screen, there is a hold, which was a standard hold at 10 minutes. And we are waiting for that clock to start ticking down again. And so far, it hasn't. So we're just going to hang on here for a bit and see what happens. And if one of you guys could NASA updates on Twitter or wherever, just to see where we are, so that we're not so that we can still talk over the feed.
Well, on Twitter, they said 40 minutes ago the upper stage hydrogen is 78% filled, and the core stage is completely filled.
Right. Right.
Hydrogen, liquid oxygen. So, as far as from that point of view, everything seems fine.
Fantastic.
So I can tell you that all of the dignitaries and guests that are down at the Cape watching for this launch are all at the space bar overlooking the launch pad, and they're waiting with bated breath, but they're all there for the Artemis launch, lined up and waiting and watching. And we've got Diana Phillips there from here in Montreal, and she's been posting pictures all evening.
That's brilliant. So what is for you? What is the significance of this? I mean, for me, this is bringing back memories of Apollo, because I am of that generation. I'm of the Apollo generation, not the Artemis generation. So this is beginning to feel like it was before the launch of Apollo 11, and that's what it means to me. What about you guys?
Ever since we've lost a number of robotic spacecraft over the years. Certainly, our attempts to go to Mars in the early days were fraught with failures, as well as the Soviet Union at the time. But since the Challenger disaster, NASA has really stepped up with their motto of safety first. And so I think NASA is fairly risk averse. And so they're not going to launch unless all systems are go, as they say. And for a brand new rocket, a new mission, if you will, maybe this is not so unusual.
No, indeed. Indeed.
I agree with Lou. When you look at space exploration history, the number of cancellations, especially of new rockets, like the Ariane 5 rocket had to be cancelled quite a few times before its maiden launch. however, this is a little bit frustrating now because we're at the fourth launch this time, and everyone's just hoping and wishing that the rocket is going to take off this time.
Absolutely.
Especially for all us early risers in the UK.
Yes, absolutely. And
But,
I just want to give a shout out to Kevin. Morning, Kevin. How are you? Thank you for joining us. And Kevin and any others that join, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. And thank you for joining us. Yawn says Kevin. You're very welcome, Kevin. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay.
Andy, you brought up the question of what this means to us, and yes, some of us were around for the Apollo generation, and some of us were, a few years ago celebrating the 50th of the Apollo 11 and the landing on the moon. But I think this is the first time for me that something this significant is happening while I'm doing outreach and while I get to kind of share and get kids to look up and start opening their eyes. So this past Sunday, we ran this Apollo or the Artemis Moonlanders activity with a bunch of young primary students after a talk about the lunar gateway that's being planned and what the Artemis missions are all about. And seeing these kids looking up and, really starting to gaze with wonder. I got to see the photos afterwards because, of course, I wasn't able to attend, but my daughter was one of the animators and my wife was one of the translators, and just getting to see the look of wonder as they built their own little moon landers and dropped them on a picture of the moon and saw them stabilize and the marshmallow astronauts fall out or don't fall out, and just the wonder and the joy and realizing that as they grow up, we're hopefully going to be building up a base around the moon to really make this a steadfast post for humanity. That I love. That's what it means to me.
Absolutely, and I would agree with you. It's so many decades overdue, and to establish a permanent presence on the moon before I shuttle off this mortal coil, that's something I really, really want to see. Because if you think of that wonderful moon base in 2001: A Space Odyssey, that was, a massive structure on the moon. I mean, and it could have happened by now. It really could have happened by now. That's the tragedy of the whole thing. So
we've lost a lot of the knowledge that we had back in the 60s for going to the moon. So we had to recreate a lot of things. So I think this is just growing pains.
Yes,
and we'll get there.
Yes, indeed.
It's the knowledge, and it's also the drive. The drive kind of fell back a little because once you got there and you didn't know what to do with it, there was no long-term plan. It was just, let's get there. This time around, there seems to be an actual plan starting to develop as we build each of these steps of the mission.
I agree, and I'd like to go back to Andy's initial comment about what it means. And I'm not from the Apollo generation, and so for me, this is
you look like it this morning.
But no, this is amazing. I mean, I'm so to be part of this, this new adventure really that NASA is taking us to, and we before we went live, we were talking about should we wake up our kids or not to make a watch, and they're going to be part of it as well, and this is just so exciting. Can't wait.
I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. No, go on.
I was just saying, I remember we had a moon observing event recently, and a woman came out and said that she knows exactly where she was when Apollo 11 landed, and she was in a downtown square watching, as a lot of people were, for the announcement that mankind had finally stepped foot on the moon. But until that day, a few weeks back, she'd never seen the moon herself through a telescope. She'd never actually seen the area where Apollo 11 had landed. And that disconnect between the idea of it and actually seeing it was just stunning. She was in tears.
Really? That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Karim, that's where the magic is for me. That these events happen, a launch, an eclipse, an anniversary, and what we try to do is to use them as hooks.
Yeah.
To teach space science to the kids, to the science interested, to anyone. And so that's some of the value of this launch for me. It gets people focused again and gets them interested. And it's one of those teaching moments where you take that energy and you funnel it into, now let's learn about the moon or the Earth Moon system or planetary exploration and that kind of thing.
Ian McIntyre was just mentioning he was born just after Apollo 17. And we're reaching the 50th anniversary of Apollo 17 right now.
Yeah,
And
that was
so-
on the 7th of December.
There we are.
So it's just about coming out to the 50th anniversary, as you say.
Yeah.
And we won't have another person land on the moon until well after that 50th anniversary. And so, it's been a while.
It's a shame. It's a shame we couldn't make the anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I do remember the Apollo. I was born in '61, so I'm part of the space generation anyway. And I just think we've had 30 years with the space shuttle, and I'm wondering why, even though that's created a lot of knowledge for us using the space shuttle for astronaut training and so forth and whatever, to me, one thing about the space shuttle, it didn't seem, especially in the early days, it seemed like it had nowhere to go. It was going into orbit, doing a few bits, coming back. Then they started building the space station, and it did have somewhere to go, which is brilliant. But we have got the space station now, and to see an operational space station in orbit, plus a different program completely in Artemis at the same time, is brilliant. We were only doing one mission at a time before, whereas now we've got these two crew programs going on.
Absolutely.
It seemed like what I remember from back in the days of Apollo and Gemini is that we were just popping them off week after week. I mean, we had a very aggressive human spaceflight program, and it was kind of neat that back then we all knew the names of the astronauts that were going up. The whole country focused on every mission because there was that goal. That was that goal, and of course the rivalry with the Soviet Union. Today, I honestly I couldn't tell you. I don't think I could give you a name of anyone in the space station at this moment.
Okay.
How about you guys?
I don't as well, but I think that might be a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That it's
you've got
more-
Nicole Mann, you've got Josh Cassidy. I've been following the spacewalk yesterday.
No, there's the Italian astronaut, right?
Yeah.
Who's currently
Who's the commander?
yeah.
And then
Is that
Frank
right?
Rubio was out there yesterday as well.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
Lou, we're not trying to show you up here.
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm waiting for the full list.
None
Go,
of our
go,
Canadians
go,
are up
go.
there at the moment. So
But the spacewalk yesterday, Josh and was it Josh and Rubio, wasn't it?
yeah, Frank, yeah.
It was their first flight and their first spacewalk as well.
Yeah. Talking about getting children up, I mean, I don't know whether anybody remembers their parents getting them up for the moon landing. I certainly do. Early in the morning.
Apparently I was, but I don't actually remember it.
I remember that very clearly because I was so anxious that my parents would forget and let me sleep through it. And I remember my dad saying, don't worry, we've got 2 alarm clocks set. Don't worry. And they did wake me up. And I remember sitting as close as I could get to the TV without my parents yelling at me for sitting so close to the TV. And just sitting on the floor in front of the TV, just in awe. It's just one of those indelible memories that you have, you know. So
Yeah,
there we
like
are.
you, Andy. I was the same. Of course, they landed, didn't they? Then they were supposed to get some sleep, but they were so keen to get on. They were supposed to have a couple of hours. So we all went to bed, and then they decided they were going to do the first walk early. So we all had to
That's
get up earlier than we expected, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I suppose my parents knew that. I certainly didn't know anything of it. But but you know, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this is talking about me, but you know, Neil Armstrong had nerves of steel, as we know. But can you imagine actually landing on the moon, having gone through that really traumatic landing, nearly running out of fuel, coming within 23 seconds of running out of fuel, and then being told, "No, you've got to go to sleep now." You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you just was nothing. You know, the real show is yet to come. But I'm not surprised that they didn't want to sleep. So
Pretty sure they didn't give them Ambien. That's probably didn't happen. You know, I don't remember the launch, but I remember watching and waiting for them to get out on the lunar surface. And I think we were vacationing in Miami at a hotel, and my parents kept trying to get me to go out to leave the room to go out with the there was a youth coordinator or something who wanted to do something, and I remember he actually had my hand trying to pull me out of the room. I said, "There is no way I'm leaving there. I'm staying."
So one of the interesting things that happened to me about 2 weeks ago is I got to do a night sky outing with an Inuit, with a First Nations astronomer, Wolford Buck from the Cree. And he was telling me about watching the Apollo 11 landing, because for the Cree here in Canada, the helper or the spirit guide is the man in the moon that we all see. But they have the different locations of the man in the moon, and what he represents is kind of the way in which we treat travelers or the fellow man. And he was saying that the heart of the helper is where the Sea of Tranquility is. And that heart is what you open up when somebody comes into your home. So the idea that the first moon landing happened in the heart of the helper in their legends just resonated with the First Nations people here in Canada. And I'd never heard that. I didn't know that tale. And so I started kind of looking into it. And yeah, that's what was written in the newspapers back in 1969. But it was buried in, like, page 96 of, the Sunday edition and stuff. But they saw the man on the moon as basically welcoming humankind onto the moon by opening up his heart for their first steps.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Those stories are fantastic, Kareem, that you come up with. They really are.
Well, they're not me. They're just I'm happy enough to have had some of these shared to me by elders. And this was what was amazing, is I got to run a star party with an elder beside me, and he shared the Cree stories. I shared them from other cultures and other legends, and we looked for similarities, we looked for differences. And, with Orion rising towards the end of our star party, we got to talk about, whether he's seen as the hunter, or whether he's seen as the protector, or whether he's seen as the warrior in all these different cultures, and what the cultures have in front of them when it comes to wintertime. And that's where it's wonderful. And so there you go. There's our two-eyed seeing for the evening, is the wonderful man in the moon. And if you want another one, because Roger has his picture of the waning moon there, our next full moon is coming up in December, and it's going to be the spirit moon in a lot of those First Nations cultures, because the moon gets very high for us in the northern hemisphere in the wintertime, especially close to winter solstice, because we're leaning away from the sun. So we're leaning towards our night sky. So the moon reaches that higher altitude. So we're sending our Artemis 1 mission to orbit the moon twice and come back. And thanks, by the way, to Lou for sharing that graphic of the revised launch plan and trajectory. I got to share that with my students today.
Oh, good.
That was
good.
Yeah, that was wonderful, because it really it showcases the moon is going to be really high up for us at that time. And so I know a lot of astrophotographers are wondering whether they can catch, any part of this. They can't. I mean, it's too small of an object to resolve. But everybody wants to try. As long as they're looking up, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Your stories, Kareem, sound like a walk through Jungian psychology. I remember with human archetypes. I remember the book Iron John, which was the flagship for at least in this country, for what at the time was called the men's movement, and how each man is, a lover or a warrior, or a peacekeeper, and all of this kind of thing. And I guess the tendency is to try to kind of integrate this with our sense of being. And I remember that for the Apollo missions, when we started sending people to the moon, there was some pushback from the Native American community, that somehow we had tarnished this spiritual object in the sky, a little kind of different than what you're talking about with your native culture.
There was the Nepalese belief that when you die, you go to the moon, and so when the Apollo missions were planned, there was some pushback, but there was some concern about the whole mission itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael's just said there's a bit of an update. There are just a few minutes remaining until they pick up the countdown again, apparently.
Oh, great. So, they're showing launch controls. So
yeah, absolutely. And also there was a bit of news last night. You know that SpaceX are contracted to deliver the human landing system for the first human landings. Well, I was reading last night that NASA have now given them the second man landing as well. So initially, SpaceX were only going to be doing Artemis 3, the first man landing, and now they've given them Artemis 4 as well. So that's good.
I'm just checking. Did you read that on Twitter, or was it somewhere official?
That came via NASA. Yes, very good. Yes, that was a NASA release late last night. So
I tried to squeak that in there, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I treated it with the contempt it deserves. So
listen, Bernard enjoyed it. I did my job. We've got to be nice to these elderly waking up early in the morning.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm treating that with contempt as well.
Bernard, I have to say you are looking progressively better as we go on. So you're like the rising sun, mate.
Oh, for God's sake, I'm being streamlined with my pajama here. Give me a bit of slack, right?
So we've always heard about cyberbullying, but to see it in person is kind of different.
Yes. If you've just joined us, viewers, we are Space Oddities. We are covering live the launch of NASA's SLS rocket to the moon.
Is that what we were doing? I thought we were all just getting together for a coffee, tea, and a chat.
Oh, I got the day wrong. Sorry. Yeah, but So we are awaiting the launch of the SLS. We are just waiting for a new liftoff time. There have been a couple of problems overnight, but nothing serious. And so we are looking here at NASA TV and just waiting to see what happens. And somebody's bound to ask in that image, what's the barbecue on the right-hand side that you can see?
Andy, what's the barbecue on the right-hand side that we can see?
I'm so glad you asked that, Chris. This is known as the flare stack, and this is where excess fuel is basically burned off. Now, don't worry, it looks in that shot like it's quite close to the rocket, and those size flames you really don't want near a rocket full of cryogenic fuel, but it is some distance away, so the flames are actually quite big. So any fuel that is excess is just burned off, basically. So with SpaceX, it was always an indicator that things were happening before launch when you saw the flare stack start up, and that's what it is. And if you have any other questions, viewers, please do pop them in the chat, and we'll do our very best to answer them. We are just waiting for an updated launch time for the SLS. We're hoping
they're doing no go no go.
Right. I'm going to put the volume on so we can listen to that.
We don't hear anything yet. We don't hear anything, Andy.
You don't hear anything?
No, we don't.
No.
Oh, okay. 1 second.
There we go.
Can you hear it now?
Yep.
Yep.
Receive the terminal count from launch part 1.
I copy all. Thank you. And Entity, launch director.
Can you put it a little bit louder, Andy?
Launch director.
I will do my best.
Men and women across our great nation who have worked to bring this hardware together to make this day possible. And for the Artemis generation, this
That's about as loud as I can get it, I'm afraid.
Count
Right.
and launch Artemis 1.
Copy, launch director, and thank you. All right, we do have a couple of steps to configure, and then we will be ready to resume the clock. CBSE and CD.
That's a go.
Here. Initiate recording of cameras at this time. In alert. NTD. RSR here. SNA arm rotation enabled. NTD, RSR booster ignition SNA arm rotation enabled is complete. And I copy. Thank you. All right, and all personnel, we are going to resume the clock here momentarily. All right, and we have verified no cutouts at this time. And all personnel, we are going to resume the clock. CLS, you can resume the clock on your mark. CLS copy. The clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1. 10 minutes and counting.
I don't know about you guys, but I am super
36
excited.
minutes.
Well, I'm going to step away to wake my daughter up so that she doesn't miss the launch. I'll be back in a few moments.
Okay.
We got the countdown clock.
I'm going to grab a glass of water. We'll be back.
I think I heard the T0 was 06 47 44. Did you guys hear that? That's based on the pickup time. So
that's just under 10 minutes then.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
yeah, that would be in UTC, obviously.
I think I'm probably going to go and wake up my daughter.
I think I'm probably
as
going to go
well.
and wake up my daughter. I'll be back shortly.
I think that's the quote of the day, that guys.
Yeah, I'll be back shortly as well.
Okay, Arnie.
Look who's just woke up to watch the launch.
Hey.
He should be in bed.
All right, I'm not gonna. I definitely. We only have a few minutes here, but basically, there's some milestones or major milestones that will come out in 6 minutes. But at 6 minutes, they'll start pressurizing the tanks. core stage, and then they will, at 4 minutes, the core stage auxiliary power units will start. Then they will basically they'll start pressure, but they'll depressurize the core stage tank. They'll go into the final and basically when we get down to -6 minutes, you'll start to hear a lot more of these milestones called out. And I think we just will know that we're probably. I was planning on, just listening to the ground sequencer milestones, and hopefully it'll be fairly self-explanatory. If there are any issues, we'll just listen and we'll try and fill in as we can. But I think at this point, at least my inclination is to just listen to them. We could be hearing mostly just the ground launch sequencer engineer calling out the milestones, and we should probably hear the next one here at the T-minus 6 minute mark.
So we've got 1 minute and 20 seconds till the next major thing. I'll tell you that I did my fatherly and husbandly duty, and now I'll probably be sleeping on the couch for the rest of the night.
I've just woken my daughter, and she has a stinking cold. So poor thing.
Oh, poor.
Yeah, I know. But I've said, never mind that. The SLS is more important. Get yourself up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do the homework.
Less than 7 minutes. Woohoo! I'm assuming that the math problem she has for homework has to do with how much fuel to get how far and when to do the trajectory burns and all of that.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Let's just turn the audio down a bit so we can talk. Okay. Thank you to our Space Oddities viewers for joining us. I see we've got Kevin here, we've got Ian, we've got Astronebulae. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Much appreciated. Thank you for coming to us to share this historic moment. And we're all very excited. Yeah, I hope you are too out there in the YouTube land.
We've got our Facebook user as well. I'm not sure who that is. I'm going to see if I can find out.
Yes, Facebook user. Tell us who you are.
That we should hear would be at the T-minus 5 minute point, and that'll be go for FTSR.
Unfortunately, we can't see your name at the moment. You're just coming through the
It's Astromoose.
Astromoose, welcome. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us from Facebook.
Christopher Go is watching as well.
I don't know about you, but I can't believe this is finally happening.
It's yeah, at last.
On Monday we did the show, and I was presenting the pictures that were taken by Apollo 8, and how Apollo 8, when it was the first mission to go around the moon, basically, and take people out there. And but for me, all these dates, they're so far back in time. And apologies for those for some folks who still remember that. But for me, it was just like, it's almost abstract, and to be able to have this happening again, it's just mind blowing.
Astronebulae, you're quite right. We need public service broadcasting. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
Dingfro is on as well with us.
Yes. Hello, Dingfro. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
And it's happening, and we're still in 2022.
That's
Sorry,
true.
say again, Michael?
It's happening, and we're still in 2022.
Yes. A few months ago, I wouldn't give an odds for that, to be quite honest.
If I remember the bets correctly, Andy has to run naked through the streets of Ireland. Is that correct? Knock on wood, this all works in the next 3.5 minutes.
Listen, if I can get over to Ireland again, I would quite happily run naked through the streets. So be careful what you wish for.
Kareem, don't say that. They're going to stop the launch.
That's true. Let's not give them any reason.
No, no,
of
exactly.
all the things to stop a launch.
By the way, if any of my friends in Ireland are watching, don't worry. I wouldn't really do it. Probably.
At
No,
least
it's
you wouldn't
all
plan to at the start of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
it's all just hopeful till T minus 3 minutes. That's when it gets serious.
Okay, that's coming up shortly.
Talking
We
of
are
which.
now at 3 minutes and counting for the launch of Artemis 1 to the moon.
Okay.
NASA's first return to the moon in 50 years.
History in the making.
Yes. History in
Again.
the making.
Here,
And if
You
you're
can tell
watching
your
with us,
children
thank
you
you.
watched it live on Space Oddities.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, much appreciated.
I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to see these engines fire.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
just been watching all the simulations and all the videos of the test fires and everything, and just actually seeing them fire is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
It looks almost real,
Did
doesn't
you
it?
get even gimbal the
Oh,
engines?
gimbling,
Yeah,
gimbling.
gimbling.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Hey.
Andy, can you put full screen?
I will put it full screen now.
Yeah, minimize us. We don't count here. This is
That's
the
true.
main show.
Reminds me of the shuttle.
8.8 million pounds of thrust. This
2
is
minutes.
going to be epic.
Oh,
You'll
that one.
definitely feel the Earth move from where the spectators will be.
Yep.
And it might be a good idea to our viewers watching. You may want to make sure your volume is turned down so you're not waking up anybody early in the morning.
Yeah.
This is going to be loud.
Are you turning the volumes back up?
Yes, I will put the volume back up in 1 second. Or should we put it back up? Let's put it back up now.
Yeah, I'd love to listen to that.
And we want a loud volume in a good way.
Hang on 1 second. I've got a dodgy slider there.
we may just do the GLS. In that case, let's hear what this is 1 minute. There we go. And so the next milestone is the final handoff.
1 minute.
1
And
minute. Whew. Am I the only one nervous?
I'm getting sweaty palms.
Mm.
You really should see a doctor for that, Roger.
I know.
I've got Space Oddities
30
on one
seconds.
computer and NASA TV on the other computer.
30 seconds.
Goodness.
Oh no!
I can't believe this is happening. I really can't.
Is this real?
Starting the engines.
Ooh. Whoa. There we go.
Go.
Gonna go.
Oh,
Go,
my
Go
God.
on, Miss.
It's
Wait,
happening.
wait.
It's
Woo!
happening.
Hey!
It's cleared the tower.
Oh, my goodness me, look at that.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my gosh.
Look at that.
Oh, he's going.
Come on.
Go, Artemis, go.
Go, go, go.
Look at that burn.
Mm. Thank goodness there wasn't any fog for this launch.
Don't jinx it, Roger.
I wonder if I walk outside, if I can see it.
I was just thinking that you're close enough. You might actually get to
Yeah,
see
you might.
it.
You might be able to.
Mm. There'll be plenty of images on Facebook and Twitter soon.
Yeah, definitely.
See the trail of the launch.
Oh, this is amazing.
I'm looking forward to SRB set.
And you know, it's such pitch black night because it's a waning moon. It's third quarter. There's very little moonlight bothering it. That all we're seeing is that engine flare.
Project Artemis has started.
Mm.
This is it, guys.
That's
You
amazing.
know, I'd love to see a slow-mo video of this to see the turbulence of that wake. You can see so much of it there. Oh, there you go. Sorry, that's the physicist in me talking.
So far, so good.
Lou, could you see anything?
No, it's just too cloudy.
Ah,
I wouldn't see it right away because of the curvature of the Earth, right? Even if
Yeah,
I had a
of
clear
course.
horizon, but I think it's up high enough now. But,
Yeah.
it's too cloudy where we are.
We've just had the separation of the
Oh,
side
look at
rockets.
that.
Boosters
There
are
you
gone.
go.
Yeah.
Boosters are gone.
Hey,
Oof.
that
Goodness.
works.
Wow.
You.
wow.
Godspeed.
They've done their job.
They have some. They have some dummies on the flight. Is that correct? Did I
Yeah.
hear correctly?
Yep.
So we have to give them names so we can.
I thought I
we
read
have
somewhere that there were names.
They
Don't
have
we
names?
also have Shaun the Sheep?
You're not going back to Wallace and Gromit, are you?
No.
So one of the mannequins is named Commander Munikin Campos. And then the two mannequin torsos are Helga and Zohar.
Oh, I'd like to meet them.
All real.
What is the screen showing us here? Is it the
Oh, hang on.
the targeting acquisition camera?
Well, that's from the ground.
Yeah. That's a tracking camera.
Oh,
Somebody's done that before.
It's going to miss the moon. Look, it's missing.
Oh,
Oh, damn.
Roger, Astronebula is asking if your cloudless sky in Sparkford is allowing you to track Artemis.
I'll have a look.
BBC's just reported NASA launches Artemis moon rocket.
Fantastic.
They've obviously been following Space Oddities.
Yeah.
Yes. And who doesn't, to be honest?
It's the only way to find out anything anymore.
It's the only show to follow.
Mm.
I was just checking on Washington Post. They haven't run the story yet.
It's difficult not to overestimate the significance of this launch.
Absolutely.
The fact that it has happened is
amazing.
absolutely mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
the start of a new era in space exploration.
And that's exactly what it is, Bernard. This is the start of something new and hopefully something permanent as well.
Yes, definitely.
And I'd like to say that I'm really pleased I've watched it with you guys.
But I'm really pleased that we've all got together. It's fantastic.
Andy,
Like
I'm really glad you did this live stream. I know it was a little bit last minute for us to decide to do it, but it was also we tried it the last two times, and so I know it was a bit of a frustration the last couple of times. But I'm really glad that we keep trying.
Well, with our new software platform, it just makes everything so much easier.
Definitely.
I just had a look outside. They got perfectly clear visibility. Can't quite see it yet, but the moon is all waiting in anticipation.
It's rubbing its hands in glee at welcoming visitors back.
Yeah.
Or a visitor, not people, obviously.
Well, you know, a few years back.
I wonder actually how many people around the world are watching.
There were 385,000 on the first NASA feed, but NASA had 3 different feeds showing different aspects of Artemis 1 launch.
Nice.
So I'd say 1 million just with NASA.
Yeah.
But we have the 5 that count.
Absolutely. And Astronebula, thank you so much for your comment. We do our best, and we are going to get bigger and better and bring you more exciting things, we hope. So stay tuned.
Especially the Artemis program.
Yeah,
And-
we will be
and-
following every single bit of the Artemis program. That's for sure.
Let's
Ian,
not-
thank you so much. Much appreciated. You're very welcome, and we will keep doing this. Whenever there's a significant launch, we will be here covering it. So there we are.
Well, there's going to be Ariane 6 next year.
Yes.
That's true, yeah.
And just a reminder, panel, that the events we're seeing today are all made possible by the concurrent robotic exploration program that paved the way for our understanding of the moon, which used to be called the RLEP, the Robotic Lunar Exploration Program. And I think we got off one spacecraft in that program about 20 years ago, which was LRO. And then we've had other missions that are making a human presence on the moon possible.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well said. And Dingfro, I agree completely. This is why we do this. Is it gives the chance for us to chat with the audience. Which I don't know if you turn on the comments on the NASA feed ever. If you watch the NASA videos and you turn on the comments, they're flying, like you can't read them.
Yeah.
They go so fast. There's no interaction. It's just an endless stream. Whereas here we actually get to see your comments and chat about them.
Yeah. When separation should be coming up soon now?
Good question, Astronebulae. I know they are taking images. I just don't know if they're going to be sharing them. I would hope so.
Hope so, yeah. Haven't they got cameras on the ends of the solar panels for Orion? So looking back at Orion itself.
It's supposed to, yeah. It's supposed to have multiple camera views.
Yeah.
Well, Dingfro, thank you so much. He says, Dingfro says, I'd rather be the 5K than the 300,000 on the
That's
next.
very nice.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations, everybody.
Next big step.
Well, that was spectacular.
Okay, let's cut that off while we talk. Yeah, so everybody really excited. In the end, it seemed a pretty flawless launch.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. What a day to
that many
remember.
times today.
I now know what I need to put on the cover of my next magazine.
I wonder what that would be. Lou, your rocket didn't take off. You got hydrogen.
No. I was telling Kareem it's perpetually at T-minus 10 seconds and counting.
Well, there we are.
Separation.
Okay, so Artemis SLS has launched. Artemis is in orbit, and everything seems to be going well. Does anybody know how long it's going to remain in orbit until TLI?
I don't.
No.
I know it's no. I believe, yeah, no. I had gone through and watched Lou's video, but I cannot remember for the life of me when the adjustment happens.
I'm trying to bring it up again here. Let's see.
I'm looking as well.
Yeah.
Astronebulae says, or should I say, has Roger got his Saturn camera installed on the Orion?
I wish. I'll see what I can capture later on.
This is
It looks very much here like it's perhaps one orbit of the Earth, maybe not even quite that. That's what I'm seeing.
Right. Okay.
And then on to onto the moon.
So as far as our coverage goes, nothing much is going to happen now for perhaps an hour and a half. So
yeah, exactly. TLI is an hour and a half.
yeah. So I suggest we bring this broadcast to a close, guys.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And
Sounds good.
we would like to,
Fantastic.
obviously, we would like to thank our viewers who've been watching this morning. Thank you for getting up so early, if that's what you've done. Thank you for staying up so late, if that's what you've done. And we're very grateful that you were able to join us for this historic mission of SLS going to the moon. NASA's return to the moon after 50 years. So from everybody here at Space Oddities, any final thoughts, panel, before we go?
The systems that they've been working with.
I'd like to say that this is not only good news for us, but it's also good news for NASA.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
this is
So
definitely going to be a lot of sighs of relief, and Congress will appreciate this.
Yeah.
no, it's
Absolutely. Kevin, you're welcome, mate. You're
I
absolutely
just want to
welcome.
answer Dingfro's question about the first wrap around the moon. It's going to be on day 6. So we're looking at around the 22nd of November when it swings around the moon with the first
Okay.
gravity assist.
Right.
and it-
Okay. Because it's quite a long
Yeah,
mission,
the,
isn't it?
The whole mission is
Yeah.
about a month, isn't it? The
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
Yep,
mission.
26 days.
Yeah.
26 days. Yeah, there we are. Lou,
It
how do you
returns
feel?
back. It actually returns back during the peak of the Geminids. So
Oh,
how are we going to know which one's the Orion and which one's a Geminid medium?
Well,
Lou,
let's
how
hope
do
we
you
don't
feel?
have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be able to do a few updates on our weekly Monday meetings, won't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. More work for you, Roger. But
Oh, wonderful.
yeah. So Lou, how do you feel about being NASA? How do you feel about this now? What are your emotions?
Yeah. So I think emotions is the right word. I'm usually out there hawking robotic exploration as the most cost-effective way to get data and information and understanding about the universe. But this hits in a completely different place. This is the extension of humanity into the cosmos, and that's really got me excited. So
Small steps, eh? Small steps.
well, big step today, perhaps.
Big step today, but small steps towards the solar system. But we will get there.
Right.
All right, Kareem, how do you feel? He doesn't.
Kareem
He's
is
asleep.
juggling. I just had a couple of students message me to say woohoo, and so I'm glad to see that they're still up. I
Great.
feel immensely happy that we're on our way back to the moon. And for me, it's more what the next steps bode is. If this is a successful mission, Artemis 2 takes people back around the moon, and then Artemis 3 gets boots on the ground. And with all of the rovers and everything that we have set up to enhance our presence on the moon, it'd be good to see some actual new science coming out of this.
Definitely. I think it's a matter of momentum, isn't it? I think the whole quest to establish a presence on the moon maybe has reached a sort of critical mass that it is actually going to happen, that it won't be cancelled, and the interest will be maintained. So, and of course, let's not forget there are many countries involved in this whole effort. It's not just
Exactly.
the US.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So many countries are contributing to establishing a permanent presence on the moon. So
I think that's probably the biggest difference, that countries all around the world have actually been involved this time.
yes, absolutely.
This day and age, you don't do much in terms of space exploration without an international team.
Yeah.
Whether it's human or robotic. Yeah.
It's kind of what's neat about our Space Oddities panel, right? You've got the USA, Canada, Spain, and the UK all represented on the panel with different perspectives, different backgrounds, different views.
Absolutely, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Bernard, any final thoughts?
I'm just super excited and happy to be part of this new generation, which is the Artemis generation, and to be able to witness this now live with you guys is just fantastic. So yeah.
Great. Roger?
Well, I'm hoping now that we've actually got this off the ground, it's going to get more interest in this project, and hopefully with SpaceX going to be launching in the next month, it will gain even more momentum and interest in what's going on out in space.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's a good point. Don't forget, we've got the first orbital launch attempt of SpaceX coming up, possibly in December.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep you posted on that, and of course we will cover it live when it happens. Final thoughts, Daz?
Well, as Roger said, now we've got this off the ground. Let's get the momentum going. There's still some hurdles to be cleared. They've got to get their second launch tower sorted out as well, because for the bigger SLS in its bigger configuration. But now let's see the Congress and all that, throw a bit more money at it, and let's get the momentum going, and let's keep it going. We're going back to the moon. Woohoo!
And can I just say, Daz, that we are absolutely delighted that you've managed to join us with a stable connection today. So we're glad to have you back, mate. We are glad. For those of you who don't know, Daz has had immense connection problems the last couple of weeks. But using your pad seems to work, Daz.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, I think we'll have to rethink how I view this thing.
Yeah. And also, Daz, if you're going to use your pad like that, what you need to do is to give yourself let Sue get you to paint the walls of your room so that you've got a virtual background as well. So paint the Orion Nebula or something on the walls.
I haven't tried that. That'll probably put me back on the dropping out scenario. Let's have a look.
Try a virtual background. Let's see what happens to your signal.
Guys, I'm gonna have to drop out because it's the school run. But all I'm gonna say is go SLS, go, and let's go, guys. We're back to the moon.
Thanks for being here, Bernard. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Bernard. I think it's good sign-off time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just wait and see what. Have you tried it, Daz?
Yeah, but it didn't come up, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. You're going to have to paint your living room.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we are. Oh,
we lost him.
Typical.
One step too far.
Yeah. It's good time to sign off. Our carers will be coming soon anyway. So.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Michael, before you go?
I just think it's amazing that we're living in this time, that we're going back to the moon and we're going back to stay, hopefully. And I'm just hoping that the American government watches this and continues with the funding as long as possible.
Absolutely. And the most important thing is tell the kids about it. That's
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Welcome back, Daz. We're just going now. So. All right. Thank you very much for being here, viewers. We do appreciate your support as ever, and you're very kind. And we will see you live on Space Oddities next Monday, as always, live on YouTube, on our Facebook page, and on the Astronomy Ireland Facebook page as well. We hope you've enjoyed our little presentation today, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So have a fantastic week. And from everybody here at Space Oddities, bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.